welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are exploring a really profound and honestly, sometimes isolating reality.
Yeah, it's a heavy one for sure.
Right. We're talking about having intense intuition, like spiritual discernment, that really strong inner voice
Yeah.
that tells you something is just fundamentally wrong long before you have any tangible proof.
Exactly. And our source material today is a deeply personal narrative. It's a video from the YouTube channel I Command You to Heal, featuring speaker Nikki St. Clair.
Yeah, it's titled The Noah Experience, Having the Gift of Discernment and Prophecy.
And our intention here is to impartially explore her lived experience, to really understand the broader psychological implications of this kind of radical intuition.
Okay, let's unpack this concept of the Noah experience, because usually when we talk about knowing something, there's an expectation of evidence, right?
Right, some kind of proof.
Yeah, like in medicine. You break your arm, you get an x-ray, the doctor points to the jagged white line. It's an objective reality.
Visual evidence is comforting. I mean, it creates a shared consensus for the human brain. There's no ambiguity.
But with human intuition, that profound gut feeling, the x-ray machine is suddenly completely obsolete. You just know something, but nobody else sees it.
Which is incredibly isolating. What's fascinating here is how the speaker reframes the biblical story of Noah to explain this exact social isolation.
Yeah, she doesn't focus on the flood part.
Right. She focuses entirely on the psychological resilience Noah needed. I mean, he was commanded to build this ark precisely to God's specifications, down to the exact type of wood, like wormwood.
And he's building this massive boat in the middle of dry land.
Exactly. There wasn't a cloud in the sky.
She points out that he had to face down all these haters who were actively calling him crazy, just dealing with constant gossip and mockery.
Because he was operating on a completely different frequency than the rest of society. He had this inner directive, and he couldn't let the gossip deter him.
But eventually, the rain fell.
Yeah, and by the time people were scratching at the door, the reality had shifted, but it was too late. It's a powerful metaphor for following an inner directive when everyone thinks you've lost your mind.
I often think of this sensation like tuning an old analog radio.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Like you're slowly turning the dial, and suddenly you lock into this crystal clear station. The music is perfect.
But nobody else hears it.
Exactly. Everyone else in the room is tuned to a dead frequency. All they hear is loud static. So when you start dancing, they look at you with total bewilderment or even hostility.
Because they literally lack the capability to hear what you're picking up.
Yeah. But it makes me wonder, how does the speaker differentiate between true spiritual discernment and just, being judgmental or paranoid?
Well, she addresses that tension directly by moving from the biblical to the personal. She shares these really vivid childhood memories of church prophets to show what happens when discernment is put on public display.
Ah, right. The story about the visiting prophetess.
Yes. She remembers this visiting prophetess who just out of nowhere stopped the entire Sunday evening service.
Just abruptly stopped everything.
Completely. She stops to warn a teenage boy in the congregation. She tells him publicly that he's trying to align himself with the Crips gang.
Oh, wow. In front of everyone.
Yeah, and she says his life is in imminent danger if he doesn't change his path.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Hmm.
Our speaker, Nikki, is just a kid watching this. And nobody stands up at first.
Because the boy she's calling out is the teenage sound guy in the back?
Right. And more importantly, he's the bishop's grandson.
The shock in that room must have been palpable. I mean, the prophetess had no prior knowledge of this kid. She didn't know his family ties.
But the bishop and his wife are just furious. They're so angry and embarrassed.
They publicly contradict her, embarrass her right back, and literally exile her from the church.
But here's the massive twist. Yeah. The discernment was 100% accurate. The warning actually worked.
It was the wake-up call the kid needed.
Exactly. He turned his life around, avoided jail, didn't get killed, and went on to be really successful.
So the leadership angrily rejected the messenger, even though the uncomfortable truth saved a life.
Which really shows the massive social risk in publicly calling someone out like that. Even if your discernment is flawless, you pay the price. No wonder people hide this gift.
Absolutely. And the tragic irony is what happens to that same church leadership later on.
Oh, the Nigerian Ministries scam. This blew my mind.
It's the perfect duality. They exiled the prophetess for a hard truth, but later they completely ignored their own discernment when a comforting lie came along.
Right, so the leadership integrated with these scammers calling themselves Nigerian ministries.
Because the scammers promised the pastor millions of dollars to build a mega ministry.
And the pastor just buys into it. He writes visa letters for them.
He does, and the scammers used his signature to bring over more people under these completely false promises of millions.
And the whole thing just collapsed.
Entirely. The ministry lost its building, ended up in a hotel, and the pastor eventually lost his wife and died in the aftermath.
That is just so devastating. They rejected the truth, but eagerly embraced the lie.
It's a classic case of ego and ambition suppressing intuition. When a lie flatters our desires, the brain's intuitive alarms get shut off.
Which perfectly transitions into her day-to-day experiences with this knowing. Because it's not always about megachurch scandals.
No, sometimes it's just about survival in everyday situations.
Like she talks about just walking around L.A., she'd see a guy in a hoodie and sneakers and just know, oh, that's an educator.
And it turned out he was a retired UC Dominguez professor.
Right. Or she could spot off-duty military or police instantly. Just harmless intuition.
Psychologists call that thin slicing. Her subconscious is processing micro-expressions and posture way faster than her conscious mind.
But then that same subconscious processing gets put to the test in high-stakes situations, like the Yi's Chinese food incident.
Oh, the orange chicken story.
Yes. So she goes to this Chinese restaurant, orders orange chicken, takes one bite, and her discernment just screams at her.
She said it tasted rubbery and gelatinous, right?
Yeah, just fundamentally wrong. And the people she's with are calling her crazy, telling her she's just being paranoid.
But she doesn't care. She throws it in the trash.
And it turns out the place got shut down later because they were serving skinned rat meat.
Her body recognized the biological danger before her logical brain could even process what was happening.
But she didn't always listen to that alarm. She shares this really vulnerable story about a major close call where she ignored her knowing.
Right, when she met that older man as a teenager.
Yeah. She says he was tall, dark-skinned, and reminded her of Damien Hall from The Band Guy. Very attractive.
But her discernment immediately flagged him.
Her inner voice was warning her that his lifestyle was dangerous. But she ignored it because she just wanted to fit in and have a connection.
She snuck him into her house, right?
Yeah. And just before they could, become intimate, her reclusive stepfather, who never leaves his room, surprisingly walks right out of his bedroom.
And completely stops the encounter.
Exactly. But the terrifying part is what happened months later. She sees this same man at an ExxonMobil gas station.
And he looked completely different.
Emaciated, limping, wearing these chestnut brown contacts. And she finds out he's dying of AIDS.
This raises an important question. Why do we actively fight our own survival instincts like that?
It's wild, right? It's like having a smoke detector going off in a crowded house. It's blaring to save your life.
But you're worried about the noise.
Right. You're so worried the alarm is ruining the vibe of the party that you try to take the batteries out. How many times have you, like the listener right now, tasted that rubbery orange chicken in a relationship or a job and convinced yourself it was fine?
Just to avoid the social friction. The speaker admits she tried to override her knowing just to be a normal teenager. It highlights how isolating high-level discernment really is.
Which brings us to the whole private reserve versus the orange sicker analogy. This is the climax of her message.
It's a brilliant way to explain self-acceptance.
She says that people with this Noah-level intuition, you're not the $2.99 Mickey with the orange sticker.
Or the Old English 800 malt liquor.
Right. You're not the cheap stuff sitting in refrigerator number 13 that anyone can just grab.
Because malt liquor is accessible to anyone. There's no barrier to entry.
Exactly. She says you are private reserve wine, fermented, mature, incredibly expensive. You're set apart.
And to get private reserve, you have to go to a specialty store like Total Wine.
Yeah. And it's not even on the shelf. It's in a clear glass box. A serviceman literally has to come unlock it with a key just to hand it to you.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is a profound lesson in self-worth. She talks about the pain of trying to act like the mall liquor just to be accepted by the hood.
Just trying to learn the lingo and blend in.
Right. Only to realize she was designed from the start to be kept behind the counter. The isolation isn't a punishment. It's a curation process.
When you know your private reserve, you stop getting mad at people who only have the budget for Old English. You just accept you aren't for them.
And they aren't for you. You don't have to contort yourself to fit on a cheaper shelf.
So what does this all mean? If we distill this down from Noah's Ark to the prophetess to the locked glass box, it's about the courage to trust your inner voice.
Even when it seems completely illogical to everyone around you.
You have to weather the storm of other people's skepticism. Don't compromise your private reserve nature.
And leave the batteries in your smoke detector.
Exactly. I want to leave you with one final thought today. We talked about the radio frequency earlier. What if the haters or skeptics in your life aren't actually malicious?
What if they aren't trying to gaslight you or hold you back?
Right. What if they are just literally, biologically incapable of hearing the frequency you're tuned to?
That changes everything.
How would that change the way you react to their doubt tomorrow? You don't have to prove the music is playing. Just trust the knowing. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.